I got this filing cabinet from Marketplace and you won't believe what I turned it into. I took the drawers out and then I flipped it on its side. I measured the bottom of the cabinet and I cut a scrap piece of plywood to fit. I attached it with construction adhesive and clamps to hold it in place. I also used construction adhesive on the edges to smooth them out. When that was dry the next day, I grabbed a rubber doormat and placed it on the side, attaching it using the same construction adhesive. I put some boards on it to hold it in place while it dried, and then I used flat black spray paint to cover the whole thing. I ended up doing 2 coats of spray paint, and I gave it a quick scuff sand between coats. I should have given it a quick scuff sand and clean before I painted it the first time though. Then I filled the bottom with cardboard recycling and placed 2 full plants inside. I surrounded the plants with more cardboard to hold them in place, and I topped it off with soil. Doesn't it look so real? Nobody's gonna know. It is the perfect front porch decor, and I don't even have to water it. I hope this inspires you to get creative with doormats and filing cabinets. Who knew they could look so good together?
I'm gonna grab this trash can, take the top off, we'll use that later. And I'm also going to grab a rubber stair tread. If you have a larger trash can, you can actually use a rubber doormat, but you want something that kind of has a lattice work like this mat. Now I'm going to use a really strong adhesive to attach the stair tread or the doormat around the trash can. I'm going to put it all over the back of the stair tread and then wrap it around the trash can. This is going to need to set to dry for about 24 hours. So I'm using clamps and some twine to hold everything in place. Make sure to use an adhesive that is either the same color as your trash can, in this case I used black, or use something that dries clear. Now that everything is dry, I can remove the clamps and the rope. And I've got what looks like a ceramic planter with this beautiful lattice work on it. I want to make this look a little bit antique, so I am using a silver rub and buff. This is a great wax product. You only need a tiny amount. I'm just using a little bit of paper towel here. You can actually even just use your fingers. And I'm rubbing it just a little bit onto the lattice that I'm seeing all over. And I'm going to put a little on the bottom of the can too. I want this to have an antiqued silver look to it. I'm going to put some drainage holes in this. And I am going to use a wood burning tool. This slices nicely through plastic, just melting a little bit of it. I can flip the lid upside down and place it in the top of the trash can. The swinging part is not going to swing anymore once it's in there. And now I can fill the top with soil and plants. This is an inexpensive way to use an old trash can and a doormat to create a planter. I hope this inspired you to grab some things from around your house and create something fun.
I scooped up this metal filing cabinet from Facebook Marketplace for $25. So to begin my project, I took it out of my van and I put it up on some raised ladders just so it's easier to work with. And I removed all the drawers. I can save the drawers for another project or take them to scrap metal. For this project, I do not need them. Then I'm going to come in with this rust paint that is good for bare or rusted metal. Shade is flat black, and I'm going to paint the entire filing cabinet, the sides, the fronts, and the backs, making sure as well that I get the top parts of the filing cabinet, so the middle pieces where the drawers were. I'm using a foam roller for easy application. I'm going to do 2 full coats and let it fully dry in between each coat. Then I'm going to use my drill and I'm going to drill in some holes in the bottom of my filing cabinet, and these are going to be for drainage. So you can see I've set it up here on my porch. To weight it down, I'm going to be putting in 2 bags of pea stone gravel, and the neat thing about this, since they're just for weight, I'm going to leave them in the bags. That's way if I ever need them for a different project or something else, they're in the bags and I don't have to scoop them out from the bottom. Then I'm going to go to my yard and I collected all these old leaves. This is great because I'm going to fill up the bulk of the cabinet with the leaves so I don't have to waste a lot of my potting mix. So I fill it up till there's about a quarter left at the top, and then I fill that last quarter with my potting mix. I've used potting mix that I bought brand new, as well as some old planters that I had laying around. I dumped in some of that potting mix too. Then I'm going to go ahead and plant in my flowers. So this year I've decided to go with some nice little pansies here, and I'm just planting them into each square of the filing cabinet, giving sufficient space in between. And once those are all planted, this is my finished planter. I am so happy with how this project turned out. Like I said, I scooped this filing cabinet up for $25 and I created something new and trendy with it. These metal large planters, people pay hundreds of dollars in the store or online to have on their porch, and I created mine out of a $25 old rusted cabinet. If you want to recreate this project, I highly suggest checking out places like Facebook Marketplace, thrift stores, or other secondhand places to scoop up a filing cabinet for super cheap. People are constantly getting rid of filing cabinets, so they're not very hard to find. I'm super excited that I was able to share this project with you. I hope that it inspires you to get creative, use old repurposed materials to create something new and fabulous for your front porch without spending a ton of money.
Who would have thought this curb appeal project would start in the plumbing department? To make my mosaic, I used glass gems, small tile, which I removed from the backing, large tile, which I broke into smaller pieces, and random plates, which I also broke into smaller pieces. I measured the 5-foot PVC pipe into 2 pieces. I wrapped painter's tape at my marks, which would make a straight line where I would cut. I cut a slit into the pipe using a hand saw. Then I inserted the blade of the jigsaw into the slit and cut the pipe easily into 2 pieces. I did the same thing at the bottom of the pipe so that I would have a flat end. Using a soft cloth, I wiped away any dust. Then I used heavy grit sandpaper to rough up the outside of the pipe. Then I wiped everything clean with a wet cloth. For the base of the pipe, I cut a piece of chicken wire to size and wrapped it around the bottom of the pipe. I attached the chicken wire to the pipe using duct tape. I wrapped it snugly around the pipe, making sure all the wire was covered. Now for the fun. With a plastic nut trowel, I applied Mastic, which is an adhesive, to the pipe. While the mastic was still wet, I used a variety of tile, plates, and glass gems, pressing them firmly into the mastic. Once the mastic was dry, I applied the grout, pressing it into all the nooks and crannies. Once the entire pipe was grouted, I used a sponge and plain water to wipe away the excess grout. I allowed the pipes to dry 24 hours before sealing. Adding the sealer is an easy process using a sponge brush, and I covered the entire pipe with sealer. Since the pipes were tall, I added large rocks into the pipe for stability. As you can see, I have a place around our pool where nothing will grow and people can look in. These mosaic planters fill that space perfectly. They also look great on my front porch, raising up my plants for all to see. I hope this inspires you to make something for that empty space in your home.